Hello everyone, this is Josh, and welcome back to Heroic Hindrance. In today's RWMC entry, I'm diving into one of the more terrifying species in the universe, the Khuur. These are alien pack hunters, starved, primal, and deadly, but there's so much more under the surface, which I'll be digging into as I draw. In this piece, I wanted to show the Khuur and their element, howling from a ravine, mid-hunt or mid-challenge. You'll notice that their flat dog-like heads lack of visible eyes and oversized front limbs. That's all intentional. They rely on non-visual senses like electromagnetic tracking, echolocation, and maybe heat vision. So they don't need sight the way that we do. Their anatomy is built for function. Those thick front paws aren't just for fighting, they're for scooping, digging, and pulling themselves across rough terrain like living battering rams. They lay they can lay eggs on their own, like you see in the background. No mating necessary. It's like their biology is focused on persistence, not pleasure or complexity. Originally, they were just feral predators, but in this RWMC universe, another parasitic species infected them and gave them sentience. Now they walk semi upright, more coordinated, more tactical. It's kind of like a sci fi take on the raptor idea. Individually dangerous, but in packs, deadly. So, even without eyes, these things are freakishly aware of their surroundings. They can hear across insane distances and pick up on electromagnetic fields. Basically, if you're hiding, they still know where you are. There's even a wild mechanic that we played with. If the if a Khuur eats the head of another creature, it temporarily mutates to gain one of its abilities. So, for example, if one of these aliens ate a Zorka that is in the RW universe, it could temporarily gain the ability to swim faster underwater. As you can, that would be useful because you can see how these aliens are built. They're built for running on flat terrain or tougher terrain that the Zorka wouldn't be able to, you know, traverse as easily. Um, so to go over the process a bit more, I spent time exaggerating the muscle structure in the forelimbs to emphasize their digging power, while the rest of their body looks starved. That's intentional. It's just how the original species that I mentioned before, how they lived, kind of like, well, they're scavengers. They're hounds, whatever you want to call them. They're the Khuur. So basically, if you're designing a creature that's meant to be blind, try highlighting other senses visually. Here I left out the eyes entirely and used the tongue and posture to imply awareness. I gave them these spikes that make them look more alien along their spine. Um, if you look, their jaws are really strong for like biting really hard. I made there's that thick bar in their jaw for clenching or biting harder than usual. There's a bit of a holes behind where their ears would be for hearing, stuff like that. I overemphasized everything else as best as I could, anyway. And later, when you see that I color this, I was trying to respect the original color scheme of the aliens. These were just called the aliens originally, but the Khuur just makes more sense. I came up with the idea for the Khuur because, I mean, Draken sounds cool, right? But that's not. That wouldn't be what these aliens would be called. It makes more sense for them to call themselves the Khuur. They don't have lips, and they're sentient. So it makes sense if they had a name that they could actually speak to each other. And they might also communicate through uh, clicks and growls because they don't have lips. They can speak. Speaking is possible, but their anatomy isn't built for it. Um, yeah, here we go. So I'm going through and I'm coloring these guys, and they look kind of fleshy, a bit of an alien spaceman purple. Who doesn't love that? Um, and later I draw a pattern on the purple part because they're dog like. There's got to be different, um, what's it called, different coats. Because this is skin. They're hairless. They don't have any hair because they're from space. Look at me, a true believer. Uh, but yeah, this guy over here on the right, I'll draw little dots on him, and the other guy I will draw like zebra stripes, and the one at the bottom has a stripe going down its spine. So I think it turned out really good. So let me know what you think in the comments. So basically, that's the Khuur. Brutal, eerie, and a perfect example of how alien life doesn't always follow the rules that we expect. Would you want to face one of these in the RW universe, or would you not? Anyway, this is Josh. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe if we're not enjoying my stuttering. Alright, have a nice day and thank you for watching.